I joined a fraternity, and we were required to study 20 hours a week. They wanted us to make grades and be signed in by fraternity brothers. And so the way to do it was to go to the library and study at the library. There'd always be some fraternity brothers who could sign you in and out. And I discovered one night, as I say, I just turned 17, and I go down in the men's room into one of the stalls, and suddenly I hear a noise from the stall next to me. And there's this hole in this thick granite wall it was just a huge hole that I hadn't noticed. And I look over at the hole, and of course there's some guy jacking off in the stall next to me, and then he starts looking at him. Well, I ran out of there as fast as I could. And I was back the next night and the night after. I met a guy, Terry O'Brien was his name, and delightful guy. And he was going to law school. I, at the time, was in the public defender's office. I was a young lawyer in the public defender's office in LA. And we met at this party. Oh, great. We had a good time. And he told me that there's this group of like 7, 8 guys who are all in law school. And they meet once every couple of weeks at the new Gay Community Services Center. And he said, we've never seen a gay lawyer. Would you come to our meeting? The night of the meeting, I drove over, and this is when the center was on Wilshire Boulevard, in an old Victorian house. And I parked across the street. There was this long stairway going all the way up to the front door of the center. And I sat in my car for at least 10 minutes, just looking at that stairway. And it is so vivid in my mind. I sat there thinking, Steve, if you go up those stairs and go through that door, it's going to change your life. So think about it. And I sat and I thought and I thought, and I finally got out of the car, walked up, went through the doors, and who do I run into? These 2 men whose names I had heard, Don Kilhefner and Morris Kite. I knew in my heart that these guys would get arrested like that if it helped. I was not about to get arrested, so I was very much afraid of talking to them. They started telling me that one of the things they do at the center is legal counseling every Monday evening. Have a legal problem, come in and get counseling. And I said, wow, that's amazing. There are only 2 openly gay lawyers in LA. Are they involved in this? I said, no. I said, well, who does the counseling? And our insurance agent. I said, guys, this can get you in a lot of trouble. You can't have legal counseling done by a non-lawyer. Somebody is going to turn around and sue you. You've got to get a lawyer to do it. Morris looks at Don looks at Morris, and suddenly from Morris it's, well, Steve, would you consider doing the counseling? Oh. So I ended up going every Monday evening to do the legal counseling at the center. And that changed my life. I became much more open. And once I was on the board of the center, of course, doing the legal counseling, and by the way, the center in those days, the legal counseling was in a little room with some beanbag pillows on the floor because they had no money. And so that was it. That didn't mean very much, but once I was on the center board, my name was on the letterhead. The center did a lot. of course. And there were other groups, Troy Perry and the Metropolitan Community Church. There were a number of other people. And we did a lot of things. And I say I participated to the extent that I could, from the gay pride parades, which were, I don't know if you ever heard of the Cockapillar. It was this huge, it was a float, this huge, supposedly caterpillar with a very strange looking head. I was also part of a little unknown group called Orion, and it was like a dozen, I guess today, you'd call us yuppies. And most of what was happening in the gay community were not people of means marching and doing all and getting arrested. Most of it were people like Don and Morris who were willing to give up what might have been successful careers outside this movement. Orion was all yuppies. From Orion, I came up with the help of two other guys, and we formed a group called MECLA, which stood for Municipal Elections Committee of LA. And that changed things big time. To start off, we really didn't know what we were going to do, but we raised money. And because we were yuppies, we knew the people with the money. They were our friends. I think it might have been the first gay and lesbian PAC in the country. And we used it to influence elections. And that, I think, was really the introduction to changing things politically. My dear friend Peter Scott, Peter and I came up with the name MECLA, and purposely because it didn't have gay in it. And so you could write a check for $1,000 and your CPA wouldn't know. I like to look back historically, and when I think about where our community was when I came out to California in 1956, and where we've gotten to in my lifetime, it's incredible.